All right. Well, welcome everybody to Y1 Live. It was great to have you 2 weeks ago. Last week, we kind of did a special episode with he's a doctor, Daniel Sapula. And if you don't know him, he's a great, great guy. We talked all about racism and the issues we see in our own communities and just practical tools, how we can actually move forward and listen, but also learn and move forward from there. And so it was a great conversation. If you guys want to go check that out, it's on our YouTube channel, right, Noah?
Yeah.
And it was just so good. I learned so much. And as you know, we've been going through a lot in the last couple months, not only COVID, but now we have this whole racism thing. It's obviously been a topic for the last 400 years and an issue, but we've just started talking about it a lot more. And so we as an organization are taking steps to move forward in that. We're starting to discuss different things on how to move forward and address this, being more inclusive and being more diverse and moving forward in that direction. Today, we're super excited because we're going to take it a totally different direction now. We've been talking about our Y1 life rules. And so we've already gone through two, and hopefully I get this right. One was about starting your day well, and so we have an episode about that. Our second one was
on running, jogging, or just moving.
That's right. So it was the importance of movement and exercise in your life. And so we talked with Julian Lowell Taylor. They're from Amazing Race Canada. Lowell is training for the Olympics, which is now Tokyo 2021. And they're life coaches. They're also health coaches. Like, these guys do so much. Yeah. Like, they're powerhouses. And so if there's anything to learn about exercise from them, that is a video to watch. So make sure you watch that as well. But today, we are talking about our next life rule. And I'm going to start off with a story. This actually happened to me yesterday. No, I don't know if you noticed, but I got a haircut.
Yeah, I did.
Right. My wife actually told me, it's pretty funny because I'm like tanned down here. Yeah. And I goes, what? She's like, you look like you dipped your head in a bucket of paint. I'm like, that's true. So a little self-conscious right now, but that's okay. And I got my haircut and I was sitting down, a little weird, you got to wear the masks and everything. And I walk into the barber shop and I had this like hour-long conversation with this guy. His name's Jaime. And we were talking about how he got into starting a business, a barbershop business. And he literally told me, he said he started as a hobby. And it was kind of like a side hustle he had while he was in high school. He would do it for his friends and stuff. And then he just really started to enjoy it. And to the point where he got experience, kind of got past the awkward thing about touching other people's faces lots and stuff. And he started a business here in town, and he's my barber. And I thought, man, that's crazy how something can turn from a hobby to something you really enjoy, you kind of just do on the side, and then you move into something that's actually becomes a career. And so today's life rule, and that's exactly what we're talking about, is the importance of practicing, finding a hobby and practicing it, and spending a couple hours a week actually doing a hobby and the benefits behind it. And so here's the problem is right now, you guys are stuck at home. We have a little bit more freedom. We can go out, we've hit phase 2 soon, or maybe that's coming. I think that's tomorrow, Friday. That's coming out phase 2 and lots of details behind that, but we have more freedom. But then again, we're still stuck, right? Lots of time spent at home. You guys have spent the last 3 months stuck at home. We have too. We just started working out of our homes into the office again. And it's like, what do you do with your time, right? You're in school remotely, which is tough already. But there's a lot of things that we have to navigate. And one of that is, what do we do with our spare time when we can't see our friends, when we can't hang out with the people around us and find community? And that's why we've been really talking about these Y1 life rules. But today we're here to convince you why hobbies are so important. Because the problem is we're isolated, we're looking for things to do, and the first thing we resort to is find negative things that will just kind of put a Band-Aid on the situation, right? Like, I'm stuck, I don't want to think about anything, so I'm going to play video games for 12 hours. Or, not saying video games are wrong, but when you're doing it for 12 hours, you probably got to find something else to do, right? And lots of other negative things, like it could be increase in drinking, right? Mm-hmm. Whether or not you're the legal age, that might be something you pick up. It could be smoking weed. It could be binge watching your latest Netflix episode, which we probably have all done. But it's doing things in excess just so you don't have to think about anything else. Think about the pain that you're in or the loneliness that you're suffering. And so why is a hobby so important? Well, it covers two things. It covers something that you enjoy, but it also makes you smarter. Right? And if you look up in the dictionary or on Wikipedia or whatever on Google, it's not going to say that definition. It pretty much just says it's something that gives you pleasure, but I think it's something more important. It's something that gives you pleasure, it's something that you enjoy, but it's also something that furthers your growth and makes you smarter. So, welcome, Noah.
Thank you.
You guys are all probably wondering why Noah's here. Well, Noah is a guru at hobbies. Maybe I'm giving you too much there, but when I was thinking about somebody that really is involved with hobbies and making time for those kind of things, it was Noah. And there's three things I know Noah for that I can think off the top of my head when it comes to hobbies. One is coffee. He loves making coffee. He loves the community around coffee. If you guys know anything like pour overs, like the V60 and weighing the beans and the ratios of the water and stuff, it's awesome. And he really enjoys that. That's a hobby for him. The other thing is reading. You love reading, and we'll talk more about that. Noah's an avid reader, which is weird because you didn't like reading or never read
in high school, I never read anything. So.
Yeah, which is probably similar to me, but nonetheless, he reads lots of books. And the third one's a little funny. He likes to watch grass grow. So,
love grass. Oh, just cannot get enough.
Legal grass, like the stuff on your lawn. We're not talking about the other grass.
Yeah, no, just go out there, stare at the yard, get the measuring stick out, see how much it grows every day. Can't get enough.
I wonder how many people are watching. Rather is like, shoot me now. Like, this is horrible. Oh, man. For me, I was like, yeah, I can appreciate it. I probably would just watch it. Like, I like to mow and stuff. But anyways, we're here to convince you that hobbies are great and that you should pick up at least one to practice. And we're looking at that common theme as something that you enjoy and something that will make you smarter.
Yeah.
And so we have 5 benefits today that we're going to be talking about why a hobby is so important. So here's our life rule for today. It's title, find a practice and a hobby. And find a hobby you can spend at least half an hour enjoying: reading, cooking, painting, drawing, skateboarding, etc., etc. Like the list goes on, you guys, as far as hobby goes. It's finding something that you enjoy and pushing into it. And so here's the 5 things. We're going to start off with the first one. And the first one is creativity. So most hobbies require creativity, and developing creativity through a hobby can transfer directly into creativity at work. This doesn't even just help with your personal life, but it helps with at work. Have you ever been a part of a job interview? Like we had a job interview, but before that, like small gigs or whatever? Or have somebody just given you jobs?
Yeah, every job I've ever had, they like offered it to me.
Yeah.
I work for like farms and stuff, right? So I never really had like job interviews.
Right.
We had like job interview, but that was more of like get to know each other. And I started as an intern, right? So
I also offered you a job on the stage at one of our fundraisers. So
so
we kind of skipped that whole interview process. But I knew what you enjoyed.
Yeah.
So I've been a part of a lot of job interviews. I've also had I've interviewed a lot of people. And there's always a common question that comes up amongst all the other ones is like, what do you do for fun? What do you do for on the side and stuff? And a lot of people get stumped by that question, right? Because if you're like me and you get so busy doing certain things, you don't really think about the things that you actually enjoy that, give you some sort of excitement and that, you like to do on the side other than work. And so when we talk about creativity, like what are some of your hobbies, I guess, that you find most enjoyable when it comes to creativity, and why do you like it so much?
I think I know you mentioned like coffee, and I think probably coffee is one of my favorite hobbies. Whatever. I love the way that it takes time. You got to set it up. You got to make the coffee, and every time you make a cup of coffee, it's going to taste slightly different. Yeah. The different beans are different. The different brew methods. I find it's so enjoyable to kind of create that coffee, and it's like I'm the type of person I love a tangible. You see the benefit of it, right? And so you get that cup of coffee, and you're like, this, I made this. Very simple, right? It's instant gratification of look, I created this thing in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
So
it's really a lot about the process. You get to enjoy it. but the process leading up to it is huge.
There's been times where I have not drinking the coffee. Like I've made a coffee.
You've made it, but not drank it.
Intentionally just to make a coffee, and then I'll like forget about it and drink it like 4 hours later. Just because like I love making coffee so much that like I'll make it and then I'll drink that later. So yeah.
Wow. So I'm learning things here. Like you can actually be creative in drinking coffee. Like there's not just one way of making it.
No, there's like tons of different ways. So
did you know this at the start when you started?
Not necessarily when I started. I mean, I've always like when I started drinking coffee, I was like, again, kind of like reading. I got into it pretty late. Like I was 18 when I first started drinking coffee. But yeah, I mean, I didn't know that there were so vastly many different ways of drinking coffee. Really through like COVID is like when I started getting really, really into the different brew methods and the different ways that we can make the coffee taste on how we brew it. So yeah.
Yeah, I find creativity is so important when it comes to hobbies because you're actually learning new skills, right? Like whether or not you're going to use it in the workplace and try to figure things out, but it actually helps with creativity in your head is like the more hobbies you're doing and the more you're like expanding your mind and learning things, that can transfer into conversations. It can transfer into brainstorming and problem solving, and in the workplace as well. Like once you get a job in figuring things out at your workplace.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's the first one is creativity. The benefit of is you can become more creative when you practice a hobby. Number 2, confidence. So how does like a hobby? I was going to say a hobbit. We were joking around before we started shooting this episode. Is I was like, I always want to say hobby instead of no.
You always want to say habit instead of hobbit.
Yeah, no, I said hobbit. Anyways, you guys, it was confusing. So confidence. We talked about learning new things and how hobbies can build confidence because being good at something and learning something new is very rewarding. And job roles and responsibilities change so often that we're often faced with learning new things anyways. So the confidence you gain from challenging yourself in a hobby can also help prepare you for life. So maybe I'll ask you this, is the hobbies that you have you seen that transfer into the confidence that you have?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit already, right? With coffee and with reading, those were both things I didn't do a lot growing up. Like, coffee, I had never seen like a V60 or not like a pour over method until I was like 18. And reading, like I started reading was 17, I think. And not because I didn't like it. I was so bad at it. Like it would take me forever to read books. I felt like kind of embarrassed. You know, I was like, I was the guy who it would take me like 3 months to finish a book and I would read it every day for like an hour. I just read so slowly. Yeah. And so it was like, I think like the more I read, the more, and like, I find so much joy in reading now because I'm able to read a lot faster and get a lot more out of it. And, same with coffee, right? Like, in the same ways you get that instant gratification of having the cup of coffee, you start off, like when you start making coffee, it tastes bad every single time, right? And slowly you get better and better. And it's one of those things I feel like you can always get better at, which, is something I've always tried to find hobbies that I'm not good at naturally. Because on one side, I don't like, I have, I can always have more confidence, but on the flip, sometimes I'm like the most proud person ever. Like I have like so much confidence. I'm like so full of myself most of the time that I need hobbies that like kind of bring me back. So for one that we haven't talked really much about is like skateboarding. I'm awful at skateboarding. But when I'm feeling really like full of myself, like, man, I'm the best, I just go and try to skateboard for half an hour and I get humbled pretty quick. And so I think those are super important too, right? To kind of help counteract that. But also with the coffee, like, I think it does build confidence.
Yeah, totally. Speaking of skateboarding, I remember like I still can't ollie on a skateboard. I can like go back and forth on the half pipe and stuff. But once you actually learn things, like it's at the reward, right? Yeah. Is you like find something that's challenging and not easy, like you said. And once you actually nail that thing that you've challenged yourself on, your confidence automatically grows.
You just feel better, right? You're like, oh, like I can do this now. I've managed to overcome that. And I think, going back to like the whole work example, right? It kind of gives you that, like, okay, I struggled with this. Now I can do it, right? So like when you dealt with a problem at work, it's like, well, I've overcome obstacles before,
Yeah.
I can overcome this obstacle.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I love that. It's the resilience piece.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it builds a lot of resilience, I think.
That's a great point. Okay, so now moving into our third one. So first we have creativity, we have confidence as great outcomes to having a hobby. The third one is really important to me, especially at the time we're in, is how it acts as a stress reducer.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so when I think about this for myself, is what actually relieves stress in my life. But more importantly is what's short-term and what's long-term, right? Because when we talked about the beginning of this live episode, is we talked about those kind of Band-Aid things, right?
Yeah.
So like, you could be doing something as just a distraction.
Yeah.
Right. So you do something, it just distracts you for an hour, and then it's back to the same old, and you got to deal with your problems of stress and stuff. But I find with hobbies is when you're doing something challenging, something that you enjoy, something that's making you smarter, it's kind of like looking at hobbies as a long-term benefit, right?
Yeah.
Is over time it reduces stress and stuff. And so let's move to your hobby of and enjoyment of reading books. Do you do that sometimes to help relieve stress in your life?
Definitely. Yeah. So I start off every morning with reading. It just kind of helps get me centered.
Yeah.
And it just helps me focus. I often have a very hard time focusing in on things. I have a million different thoughts always. So
Yeah.
I really find reading actually really helps me focus and kind of ground myself.
Yeah.
And actually, going back to it, coffee actually, is even more of a stress reducer for me. So I've often if I'm working or feeling really overwhelmed with what I have to be doing, right? Whether it's editing a video or, a lot of projects that I'm trying to manage and just figure out, I feel really overwhelmed. And so I'll go and just make a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I'll, take 5-10 minutes, just go make a coffee. And, when you make a pour over, you about 3 minutes of it is you're just watching the water go through the filter.
Yeah.
And you literally cannot do anything else. You can't do anything.
Can you tell Noah likes making coffee?
So you're just staring there watching it. You know, and that's what I love about reading too. Because I'm such a rushed person. By nature, I am constantly on the run, trying to get the best, always, trying to succeed. And so reading, coffee, reading, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You just slow down. And for me, that's the thing I need the most is constantly to be reminded to slow down. Right? For some people, you might have to have the reminder to speed up.
Yeah.
But for me, it's no, slow down, right? You can't rush reading. You can't rush making a coffee. That's, I think, why those hobbies are so important for me.
Huh. No, that's good. I find, what was I trying to say? Sorry. We just being real here. Jordan's practicing because we're going to him next, right?
Yeah.
So Jordan's maybe you guys can hear him or not, but I just keep on hearing him in the back of my head. It's this guy's amazing.
I know. I'm so excited. So yeah, if you can hear him, you're getting excited with us.
It's going to be good. Anyways, maybe we should just move on just to speed things up a little bit so we can listen to Jordan.
Yeah.
Fourth benefit is socialization. There we go. Socialization and the benefits of that. So I've seen this a lot with you over coffee, right? And so when we talk about socialization, it's interesting because once you find something that you enjoy, you find other people that really like that too, and you almost find this sense of community around that thing. And so even if you were to move from Lethbridge to I was going to say Hayes, but let's pick hard. If you were to move to, let's pick somewhere where you want to go. It's like Vancouver
where I want to go.
Or BC or whatever. Sorry, Hayes. That's where Noah grew up anyway, so he doesn't want to go back there anytime soon. But is the community. And so you could move to Vancouver, you can move to Montreal, whatever, and you don't leave that enjoyment of coffee, and that's actually how you could start connecting with other people.
Yeah.
So have you, whether it be reading or coffee, that's the kind of topics of choice right now, because those are the things you enjoy. Have you found your socialization in those things, building community and all that kind of stuff surrounding those hobbies as you've grown into them?
Yeah, definitely. So one, I think, online, right? It's really easy, especially the online coffee community is huge, on Instagram. So I have a ton of friends who, I literally only know them on Instagram and we just talk about coffee. That's all we do.
Yeah.
And I think, it's a super big connecting point for me. I'm getting married this summer and two of my groomsmen, pretty much that's the main thing we have in common is we all drink coffee. I was like trying to think. I was like, I actually don't know how I met them. Like we worked at camp, but we became friends through drinking coffee and enjoying really good coffee.
Yeah.
And so I have like, a lot of friends like that. And that, most of my really close friends, that's actually like a key point in our relationship is our mutual love for coffee.
That's funny you mentioned that, because I remember also some of my really close friends, other than my brother, is ones where we've connected over a certain thing that we enjoy doing, hobbies, and one of them was like leadership podcasts, right?
Oh, yeah.
I know that sounds so boring to everybody. I love it though. That's how we first connected.
Yeah.
We're like, we can't stop talking to each other because we enjoy this so much, and it was just natural. And we've made videos in the past like how you need to find a place of belonging, not fit in, and the difference between the two is essentially becoming like somebody else to like feel like you're belonging versus you already have things that you enjoy and you get connected with others that enjoy the same interests, and that's belonging, is finding a community that you don't have to change to become like them, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
that's great. And community's huge right now, right?
Yeah.
And so whether it's online, there's so many communities online that we can get connected. And I know you send coffee and receive coffee from people that you've just met through coffee blogs. It's crazy. So I've even benefited of the rewards from that. So that's a huge thing, is making friends through those hobbies, whether or not, you can move around, you can change different hobbies and stuff, but you can always find communities around that. So that's super important. Okay, last but not least, number 5, personal development. This one is, to me, one of the most important things is how much you can actually learn, and long-term, how much you can actually utilize those hobbies that you've learned into something new that potentially would even become a career. So we talked about my barber. It started as a side hustle, just making money. He enjoyed it. He was doing it for his friends. There was a need. Up until the point, he's like, I love this so much that I actually want to do this as a job. So it became a passion of his, and then it moved into a job. And so, obviously we can look at books and say, of course, that would be personal development, right? Like there's that quote is like, if you don't read, you don't lead, right? You need to be leading to grow, or reading to grow. And how else personal development helps, right? Like maybe it's media, right?
Yeah.
Like, which is funny because that's something you were dipping your toes into when we first met. Creative arts, media, and everything, and then it actually turned into a job, right? Like you're the one that set up all these cameras. We have Taylor behind there that same thing, right? He really enjoyed it. Now he's doing it as a full-time gig, right?
Yeah.
And it's amazing how a lot of those passions and jobs, passions and hobbies turn into something more because we love them so much, and we just make a way for it to turn into something that's a lifetime achievement or career or whatever. And so maybe let's talk about reading. Just because I know a lot of people watching, especially youth, if they were like you and me in high school, it is very educational, right? Like anything that has education or teaching attached to it, and I'm not in school, I don't want any part of it.
That was me, 100% me, right? In high school, I was like, no, I don't want to have to waste more time reading.
And there's the odd person, right? Like there's the keeners, and that's great because they actually enjoy it. Like my wife, she loves reading. She's always loved reading. Like when she was little, she was the one in her room reading a book. It's like, it's just horrible to me. I want to be outside doing things. But we all have those things that we enjoy. But I've learned to love reading. You've learned to love reading. How has that helped for your personal development?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's huge. So, like
you're not reading books on math or anything, obviously, right?
Well,
but,
no, not really. No, I mean, there's like, sorry. I just try to get my thoughts. I love reading, right? And I think that, especially being here, like working at Youth One, it's been, really imperative for me to read a lot, right? I'm young, I'm 21, right? So I don't have a lot of life experience. So I kind of I often feel like I need to catch up on my life experience with reading. So, I read a lot of leadership books. I read a lot of, I really enjoy leadership. I also read a lot of theology books, a lot of philosophy books, because I love thinking at that level. So, I read a lot, which I think helps a lot with my problem solving and my understanding the way people think and how they do things, right? And I feel like I have always felt very much like I don't really understand how people act. I've always kind of felt like I was watching other people interact and didn't really understand it. And I feel like through reading, I've been able to like learn how people think and how like kind of more almost like how to be more social, right? Going back to that, like I've learned how to kind of be like a normal person through reading, which is funny because, you know, we often hear like, oh, like bookworms or like nerds, they don't know how to interact with people. But like for me, I actually found like I actually learned how to interact with people through my reading. And yeah, I've definitely like, I can't even count the amount of things I've learned that have helped me work at Youth One better through what I've read. So
and you know, for those watching, it doesn't have to be a book on philosophy or
no, not at all.
Whatever. It's like you could be reading a skateboard magazine and personally developing yourself at the same time, right?
Yeah.
It's like learning about the culture around you. You know, it could be an activity, right? Personal development through activity is how to, you know, if you have a coach, how to interact with leadership, right?
Yeah.
Like there's simple things like that we could actually learn from there. You could be sitting in a tractor listening to a podcast and developing yourself.
100%.
Big time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, set it to the GPS, put in the headphones, listen to a podcast, right? Like to all the ag people watching. You know, you could be learning that. And, you know, there's so many different ways. It doesn't have to be reading. It could be skateboarding. It could be, you know, it could be swimming. It doesn't even have to be physical. It could be like putting a puzzle together, right? Especially if you want to win on Survivor. We all know those puzzle people. You know, they do well if you watch Survivor. I know that's kind of old, so whatever. But, you know, my wife loves puzzles. I can't stand puzzles. I sit down, like this Christmas, I sat down with one and I don't know, it was like a 2,000 piece puzzle. And I looked at him and I kind of just like, just pushed it all the way. I was like, whatever, I don't want to deal with this.
I mean, being colorblind, that's like not my thing. I was like, I don't understand this.
Yeah, that wouldn't really work out.
I was like, they're all the same.
You need something just like black and white. And, but I'm really good at my daughter's puzzles, right? Where it's like 10 pieces.
Oh, I love those.
We're good at that one. But I've also found that when I've actually committed to a puzzle with others, like the amount of like learning that goes on is like how to work with other people, how they work putting a puzzle together, you know, like organization, all that kind of stuff is not just the accomplishment, which feels really good afterwards, the confidence of putting something together, but there's so many integral things that you're learning through putting a puzzle together. It just works with so many different hobbies. You know, just to end off, I always tell people this, like when they try to discover their passions and desires for life and stuff, I just say, you know, finding your passion is kind of like a buzzword, right? Like it's kind of this philosophical, like, what's my passion? What am I made for? All this kind of stuff. But it's like, find something you're good at, right? Like, what are you good at? And press into that a little bit more. And you're never going to discover what you're good at unless you start trying things. And a lot of times that's in hobbies, right? You know, whether it's web design or I remember doing that in junior high. I was like, I kind of like this, but I never actually pushed into it until college. And now we design our own stuff at Youth One, websites and stuff. And so it's just like leaning into as much stuff, and it's okay if you don't like it, you know, leave it alone and press into something else. That's okay. It's finding something that you enjoy and moving forward with that. So anyways, 5 things, you guys. It helps with creativity. It helps with your confidence. It helps reduce stress. It helps with your social game, you know, finding community, and it helps with your personal development. So if we haven't given you enough to convince you to find a hobby, I don't know what else we can do.
Exactly.
But honestly, if you guys need help finding a hobby, if you find this and you're like, man, like I don't even know what do I enjoy and what's going to make me smarter in life, like what is that? Let us know. Like comment in Facebook here while you watch, or YouTube. Send us a DM. It's like, I just need help finding something, discovering something I like and that I'm good at. Man, we got hundreds of things that we could just push out there and see if you enjoy them. But the one crucial thing is just find one thing that you can do every week for a couple hours, you know, even if it's 10 to 20 minutes a day, that you enjoy, one, and 2 is something that makes you smarter, helps develop you as a person. So, you know, let us know what your hobbies are. If you're looking for something, let us know, and we'd love to help you piece that together. But these habits, these life rules that we talk about, this one's obviously about finding and practicing a hobby. It's all about giving you something that will make you, not break you during this kind of COVID-19 isolation, social distancing, whatever you want to call it, season. And so if you want to find these life rules, if you want to go back and discover what they are and kind of write them down and write notes beside each one on how you want to improve yourself and the different things that you want to take on. You don't have to do all the life rules. If you take on one, it's going to make you a better person and help develop you in life. Is make sure to go to youthone.ca/online. We've actually posted a button there that you can download all 10 life rules. You can jump ahead and see the ones that we're going to be talking about in the future. Or I just added this and Noah doesn't even know it, is we added it to our bio link in Instagram. So if you click on that link, it's the top button. For now, it's the top button for the next week or so. Yeah. Maybe we'll keep it there for a while. It might do like a little jiggle, wiggle. It might be shifted around, whatever. Might have a picture beside it. Just click on that. It will download to your phone and you can look at it. And so honestly, if you don't want to, that's fine with us. But we'd love if you just at least download it, because I guarantee you down the road, you might be like, oh, what are those life rules? Like I'm stuck. Is you can go back to your phone, pull it up, and try to implement a few in your life. So, Noah, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, of course.
Talking about the hobbies that you enjoy, and where are we going next?
Downstairs. So
sick. We're going to hear from Jordan. He's been practicing, and he's coming up next. Jordan Crusoe, one of our volunteers. So enjoy, guys. See you later.